What's up, everybody? How are we doing? How are we doing? We got Mr. Nathan Alphaman here. Very excited to have him back on the show. Last time we talked about Ursa. We talked about what was only just kind of a hint of what we could see out of the Evolve. And we got a lot more to talk about tonight, so I'm really excited.
Yeah, should be a good time.
Absolutely. So, guys, again, thank you for coming. No Cyrus tonight. He is still recovering from being ill, so hopefully let's throw some in chat. Get well soon, as well as Discord. Hit him up on Discord. I'm sure he would love the shout outs and the get well soons. He will be building a board on Saturday at noon, the Squid 60. So should be a fun time. But so first off, I'd like to shout out our awesome sponsors. We have OmniType, Project Keyboard, and Candy Keys, as well as our awesome partners, Zap Cables, Smith & Rune, and Type Beast. So if you guys have not checked those guys out yet, please give those links a check. See if you need anything, if you're looking for cables, keyboards, switches, all that stuff. They're all on those links. Mr. Nathan Alphaman, again, you are the designer of GMK Ursa. You are the designer of GMK Polybius and the designer of the Evolve, one of the most interesting cases of 2021. Welcome to the show. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure to be here. It was a lot of fun last time. Should be a lot of fun this time.
Hell yeah. So we'll do an update because we haven't really done a fast four. We kind of do it in and out. So I'm curious to see how things change. If you guys want to look up our fast four, we try and get them. Our awesome moderator, Brez, does the fast four doc, and I'm curious to know if any has changed. So starting off, your top 4 favorite switches.
Okay, I'm not going to click on the doc, and it's going to be interesting to see how the answers have changed from last time. But top 4 favorite switches, still pretty easy. Zyko is my number 1. Just reigns supreme as the MX Tactile. And then I don't think the switch was out last time I did this list, or hadn't used it, but it would be the H1 Linear from Novel Keys and Enigma. That's great switch. I love it. I have a preference for those heavy boys. So Alpaca's another great switch. And then I've only tried one. I've yet to build a whole board with them. But these like holy bobas with the halo stem and then the housing from the Gazu boba is pretty promising, and I'm going to be building a board with them soon, so I'm excited to see what they feel like. So I guess those would be my 4.
Yeah, absolutely. We had talked about these. I think you had sent me about the holy bobas a while back about oh man, these are like, you should absolutely try them out. So I need to get my hands on some. I haven't. I've been focused on getting builds planned for I do like these Glorious Panda switches. I do think they did a good job. They sound really good. That's sound is a big deal for me, as with a lot of people, I imagine. And so sound, really helps that. And then on top of that, the tactility's there. I think that the leaf is not very strong on the Glorious Pandas. So Streaking Bison, thank you. I see. I'm probably going to build mine with my Squid 60 with the Glorious Pandas, but I think their leaf is a little bit lighter. Like it's not. Yeah. Maybe it's a little bit easier. So with the heavier springs, it definitely killed some tactility.
That's something that like I've been realizing a lot through the process of working on my own switches. Tease hint is how much.
I don't know anything about that.
Nothing about it at all. But yeah, is how much the leaf affects the tactility of a good tactile switch. It's not just about the stem. It's not just about the spring. The leaf really does play a huge part in it.
Yeah. And so I mean, if I think as me or if Nathan, I can turn him up just a smidge. That's probably just on my end. So, but yeah, it's very interesting how much can go into how good a Switch is, right? That's why that's why you can't just throw a Holy Panda or a Halo stem into any Switch, because it might be good at like one very specific weight, and that's fine if you're trying to sell it at that. But then how useful is it outside of it? So if the framing's a little off, sorry, I had to. I kind of had my apologies. We had a bit of a late start, so I kind of had to throw the camera up.
Okay. I can screwed my chair over.
Yeah, appreciate it. So next up, your top 4 favorite keyboards, and we will leave the Evolve out.
Yeah. J01, the OG J01, since the J01 Rev 1 has yet to deliver. I think I just finished building it earlier today, but the Tengu has been great. I've loved Alice layouts. I did not think it would be something I'd enjoy, but now that I'm using Alice layouts, I really, really like them a lot. I was on an MGA standard before, and I just finished this Tengu today, and Tengu is definitely better than the MGA standard. So Tengu is going to take that spot up there. The Norba Force, just because I'm a sucker for Topra. And gosh, if I had to pick a fourth, IDB 60. I still really, really enjoy that board.
Yeah, we were talking about it last night because Stray Chroma, another great streamer, she's like all in on the IDB boards. And for the price, like I mean, from what I hear, it's great, right? It's for especially at a great priced board. But all very, very cool. I'm annoyed because my OSA, which is the Blind Assassin designed Alice style layout board, it's kind of out of commission. The board's being Cerakoted, and then I'm switching the switches out, so it's going to be a minute. But with our build schedule, it's kind of pushed to the back of it, because usually with like personal builds, and especially a personal rebuild, that shit gets pushed. I think it just always gets pushed back further and further. So I use that at work like all the time and absolutely love it.
Yeah, if I need to go to class, I would take my IDB 60 a lot with me, because it was built with silent alpacas. So it's just like a great lecture board that nobody's going to get mad at you about.
Mm-hmm.
Even the Topra boards could be too much for class, even though it's silenced. I'd bring it to lab though sometimes. Because
assert dominance and bring box navies. Yeah. Come on, man.
Have you ever seen that one video of the kid who brings like a typewriter to lecture, and he's just like in the back typing notes, and just has to just stop class next to him?
That's amazing. So next up, your top 4 favorite key sets, and we will eliminate Ursa and Polybius.
Top 4 favorite key sets. GMK Botanical. I'm going to do delivered sets, not sets that are run by or are currently in IC. GMK Botanical, GMK Phantom, GMK Originative Cyrillic, and GMK. I'm looking at like all the boxes I have behind me of sets. Probably. Honestly, like I know it's such like a almost overrated set. I love Olivia.
Yeah,
just,
I mean,
it's good, reliable.
There's a
set.
reason that people love it so much, right? It's a solid set. It goes by the core mechanic of it, where it's it's white alphas, it's dark mods, it's a great set. Just enough color, and once people realize, don't try and match a plastic pink to a metallic pink, and started putting it on other boards, it exploded. Mm-hmm. So we were talking about that last night. And I'm trying to get my hands on Botanical. The more I see it, I'm like, God, why did I miss this? I
got it in front of me right now. Like my one thing with Botanical is the alpha color is just a tad too blue. It's like the Shoko alphas, right? But I don't mind it so much that it loses this top 4 spot for me, right? Mm-hmm. Like it is such a clean set. I really love like monochromatic sets. Binsu, I could swap Binsu for Olivia out easily as well. Or GMK Denim. Those just like those single color sets.
Man, Denim is slept on, man. Denim looks. Someone posted a Squid 60 with Denim, and I was like, Man, I don't care for the novelties on that or the tan enters that much, but that blue, I mean, it came out great, right? It doesn't
Oh
matter
yeah.
that it's just a
If
decent.
only if only Undercover Brother would run GMK Blaugrau,
I have no idea
which is
what that
like
is, but
slightly better denim in my opinion.
ooh, 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 I would love to see that. Because denim to me is just kind of like moto, but with like a blue filter on it. Like
That's
some,
fair. Yeah, yeah.
so which I mean, I'm not. That's not to say that denim like cheated or anything, but it's just a great set. And then last but not least, the top 4 favorite foods.
Um, Ramen, In and Out. Um, I'm gonna go with uh, just like a good sushi bar. Like will always be there
Yeah,
for me. And then you know what? Okay, this is definitely a strange one. I don't know if I'd rank it like as a top 4 favorite foods, right? Like it's not something that I particularly like to like the taste of in comparison to other things out there, but it's something that's like reliable and is always there for me and got me through my last semester of college, and that was Taco Bell.
dude.
So let's go Taco Bell.
Dude, Taco Bell, man. I told this story about Taco Bell last night. My wife was like, "You realize you talked about Taco Bell for a long time on the stream." But no, it's Taco Bell. Just it hits, right? It hits.
Yeah, it does.
Taco Bell versus Chipotle. I'd pick Chipotle every single day over Taco
Yo, I
Bell,
would
but
pick Chipotle too over Taco Bell, but Taco Bell, or like the thing is, I can get like 3 meals for the price of one burrito at Taco Bell.
yeah, it's exactly. It just it kind of depends on what you're going for. But there's this place called El Queso out here that's like a taco. It's a one-off Chipotle, and yeah. Sorry, my wife loves Taco Bell. I would like to state that. For those who don't know, Abigail Daniel is my wife. Uh, Taco Bell is great. I'm not gonna shit talk Taco Bell, but Chipotle, or or what Osiris and I go to more is El Queso, hits better in our opinion. But they're both great. Also, food is great, right? Food is great. So, but yeah, let's talk about GMK Ursa. So GMK Ursa, obviously, it has run, this week in honor of having you on. I made sure to bring out the Key Colt this week with Ursa. It slid straight into my number 1 spot of my top 4. You did such a great job on it, and the first question that I want to ask is, I'll ask that in a second. How do you feel now that it's kind of over? Because you and I talked a lot during whenever it was in shipping.
Yeah, I mean, it feels good to have that first project done, and to have it completed. Like I remember seeing the first pictures of Ursa that Candy Keys sent me, and it was like, oh, like I got super emotional about it, seeing the set, seeing the novelties all made, and then I got really emotional like a second time when I actually had it in hand 2 months later. Like that was the difference between Candy Keys getting it and myself getting it. Um, but yeah, I'm so happy with this set. I really love how it turned out. It was like everything I wanted it to be. So
That's perfect. I mean, you did a fantastic job. The brown is such a nice, where it's like it's not dark, but it's not light either.
yeah,
And the green, it pops so well. Like the novelties are fantastic. Who did the novelties again?
I did.
You did very well. There it
Yep.
is. I got. There's too many things up here that to remember at this point because there are a lot of great novelty makers, and now you included. Because I'm a sucker for novelties. I'm a sucker for accent colored space bars, and I didn't initially get the novelties, but I went and got them later because I was like, I love the flowers. I love the cloud. I wish I could use. I don't use the ISO bear. I mean, to me, it's the best ISO enter out there.
Yeah, I was. I have a second set of Ursa, and I'm gonna my like JO1. Sorry, my JO2 is like next on the build list, and like I don't really want to be running 2 boards with Ursa on them because my personal Evolve has Ursa on it, but I really want to use Paddington, so I'm like, you know what? I'm probably gonna put Ursa onto the JO2 as well.
There it is. Um, it and it, we are in a world right now where lots of sets are under a lot of criticism with colors and color matching and all of that. Didn't I didn't see a lot of people upset. You know, I think Ursa was one of those very well liked. A lot of people, you know, were like, "Oh man, I didn't get in on it." You know, where that's always good to see when it kind of feels bad, but you feel bad as a person, but it feels good as like someone who did something successful, where they're like mad that they didn't get it. I'm like, I wish you could have it, but also I'm glad that you wanted that much. So how's it? You know, you made a set where there was really no bad press about it. So congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. It was great. Like, you know, I got the R1 color samples in, and you know, I held it up to like the color chip under like a bunch of different lights, and you know, like I don't have a spectrophotometry set up. You know, like I didn't send it to NAB or anything, but like just holding it up to the color chip, I was like, yeah, this is pretty much perfect. This is the color I wanted. Like I have no notes, and I just approved it, and we went through. It was great. I had a little bit of a scare that it was going to turn out a bit wrong, um, because I felt like ABEC had oversaturated the brown, but like having like looked at the sample in hand versus the color on my monitor, but I guess like my monitor was just miscalibrated at the time, because once I had fully built the board and like looked up from the board up to my monitor, I was like, yeah, this is right.
Yeah, and it looks fantastic again. Like it just, I can't get over how great of a job you did. You know, everything just looks really clean. So, but let's talk. We'll talk about. You know, what do you want to? What do you want to talk about next? We can talk about Polybius, or we can talk about the Evolve.
Well, we can let's segue through key sets. So
Key
let's do
sets.
Polybius.
All right. So, let's go. So GMK Polybius, guys, it is on sale right now. Let's.
We've got a week left.
Yeah, a week left. Very excited. So give me 1 second. You're going to hear Lang for full disclosure. My friends told me, hey, you know that like Lang's voice line for you guys plays every single time you do a transition? I was like, I had no idea. I had no idea. And I was like, now I'm going to leave it in forever. So let's go this way.
Boy, stay home.
All right. So, and now you're over to the, yep. I did, guys, I'm not Osiris, so my apologies. I kind of threw this, together last second so that I could get this going. But here we go. So we got GMK Polybius in the U.S. is being run by Space Cables. Space Cables is an awesome vendor that's starting to dip their toes in. So we've got the core kit. Great looking set. Like, so unique. So why don't you talk about, you know, how Polybius came about and, you know, how...
Yeah.
Because it was something different the first time we saw it.
Yeah, it was something super different the first time I teased it ever. So okay, Polybius started off back in I think March of 2020, and it took quite a while for it to be ready and happy. And it just started off as like an arcade set and almost slightly modified Soul Dark was the first ever concept of Polybius. It didn't have the mods. It was, you know, the classic alphas are different than mods and has a, you know, a third accent color. And Octus and I were going back and forth between it. And we're like, we want to, you know, do the legend a little bit more justice, and do something really cool. And we had this like idea of the arcade carpet. And so that was the initial concept I teased last time I was on the show, but didn't move on too much from, because right, like we were trying to take this arcade carpet and put it on a keyboard, but we were splitting up these fundamental shapes and putting them on individual keys, and it was kind of lost in translation. I would show it to people and they're like, what is this? This is not arcade carpet, this is squiggles on keys. And yeah, like that was a completely valid criticism, because there's so much beauty in the way that these shapes interact. And so the set just sat there for like 3-4 months, and we just didn't know what to do with it. We knew we wanted to make it, but we didn't know how to make it. And then I don't know when the epiphany came or what the epiphany was, but like one day we were like sitting and talking about Bassett, and it was like, hold up, we can use pad prints. We can use 2 colors per key, and just go crazy with it. And so at the time, I messaged Plop, who's a good friend of mine. He's like, hey, can you help me put together a few concepts for keys? And so I worked with him to like go through and like make legends for every single key and just make the set a lot of fun. And then we just dialed in some colors, did some renders, and then um, I messaged Space and I was like, hey, you want to run this? He's like, he's like, when? I'm like, as soon as possible, and that was kind of that. And Polybius went from being almost nothing to being done within like a month, which was
Oh
like a
wow.
really satisfying process of like, after sitting on this idea for so long and not having it be anything to having it suddenly come together was really really awesome.
Very nice. I mean, that's it. It looks fantastic. It definitely it hits, and what you with your original idea. Excuse me, of the roller rink aesthetic, right? And then
Mhm.
having the dual colors, I feel like is so important on this. I love that you guys went pad printed, so it's going to save, because it's going to save a ton of money. So you don't have to buy 85 molds for this.
Well, that and also GMK doesn't do triple
Yeah,
shots, so
so it's tough. I mean, it would have been borderline impossible to do on a lot of different things, but this I'm very excited to see how this comes out. Love the monochromatic look and feel to it. I love that you didn't go crazy on the numpad, because sometimes people like to add too many sub legends on numpads. This is just one of those sets that I think it's gonna hit like hard.
yeah.
It's I think a lot of people are gonna be upset that they did not get
I
this.
think
So.
yeah, we're just underneath mock right now, so hopefully we'll blow past that through our last week.
I think people are going to be, you get the end of the month paycheck people, that's
Yeah.
I get that. So yeah, here it is on the JO2 with the ISO. I mean, just it looks so clean. It kind of has Tron vibes to it too. There's a lot of different vibes you get from it, because you kind of get like
Mm-hmm.
it has that 80s hit, it has that that 90s early 2000s roller rink hit. I love the desk mat. I mean, this.
Yeah, God, Sour blew it away with the desk mats.
Yeah,
They're so fantastic. Polyweave carpet and beeps and boops, like all expectations shattered.
yeah,
Um,
this is fantastic. By the way, Cam Peterson 19, thank you for the tier 1 sub, and not Geo, thank you for the 18 months at tier 1. So thank you guys. And we got this little guy, this little
yeah, the Rama.
this. So talk about working with Rama, and how was that experience, and getting. I imagine, based on the picture, I imagine this is glow in the dark.
It's not glow in the dark. It's UV reactive.
Okay.
Just like as like a
Just
small difference
hey,
between those. Yeah,
just like when in roller rinks, when they turn on all the blue lights
exactly.
or black lights.
Yeah, it's such a fun cap, right? Like I was trying to come up with the design for it. I was sitting in voice chat with some friends, and I was like, "How am I going to do the Rama for this set?" And somebody's like, "Well, you have a novelty that's an X and an O, and what are Ramas like? Like classic caps, they're X's and O's." So it was like, let's put an X and an O together and slap it on a cap. And I love working with Kate. She's like super nice, super easy to work with, super cordial. The process of working with them is like, yeah, they're a really friendly team. And I really love how this cap turned out.
Very nice, yeah. And yeah, just some of these pictures and the renders are just beautiful. I love this. I like the Space Invaders hit and all these. And then, do you want to talk about Polybius, the naming?
Polybius the naming, yeah. So for those who don't know, Polybius is an arcade urban legend. Um, so the legend goes that at some point in the early 1980s, an cabinet appeared in like a sleepy arcade in Portland, and it was like a completely black cabinet, unbranded except for the Polybius name across the top. One cabinet in one location, and it kind of disappeared as quickly as it appeared. It was maybe in this arcade for 1 or 2 nights. But the story goes that anybody who played it would experience like mental hallucinations, seizures, like crazy, effects on the brain. And so the rumor was that the game was like a CIA or FBI mind control experiment, and they were like, like similar to MK Ultra or other you know CIA black box operations. So yeah, that's like the urban legend that Polybius is based around.
It's very cool, and now going to be featured in the new Loki.
That's true. It is in the
new
background
Loki.
of the Loki trailer.
So very, very cool to see on that as well. I think I sent that to you. Rumor my ass. There you go. I think I sent that to you. I was like, bro, did you see Polybius is in the background of the shot?
Yeah.
It was. I'm sure I wasn't the only one either that sent that to you, but yeah, very excited. So guys, one more week. I want to talk about the pricing on this is insane for what you're getting. I mean, 135. Okay, it's 135, but you're getting the full kit. You're getting the full. You're getting ISO in the kit. You're getting numpad in the kit. There's not a lot of things that this won't work on. Like in general, you're getting it's insane.
That was something that was really important to me when I was kitting this, because initially I started with like a very slim kit, no numpad, no ISO, no 40s, and I was like I wanted to target that $100 price point, just because like I thought like this is a set with a lot of mass appeal, and it'd be really great to get it really cheap in order to get it on as many people's boards as possible. But the more I thought about it and the more I played with it, like the numpad kind of didn't work as a standalone. I wasn't going to bundle numpad with ISO, and I wanted to make sure that like if the main set gets made, I want all these other parts to get made, and the best way to ensure that ISO gets made and a numpad gets made and 40s get made is to just put them in the base kit, especially when in this case the 40s is literally 3 keys.
Yeah.
Right. Like it's easier to put 40s in here than it is to put ISO. So why wouldn't I do it?
Yeah. I mean, it's you did such a good. You even got van support. You said here the basic 40s, like it's, and then you also get to play around. This is one of those sets you don't get a lot of these where you get to kind of play around. It's like GMK dots, right? You get to play around with where things go, because while yes, there is a layout and a specific set of this is how these keys are supposed to be, you kind of get to make it your own, right? You can swap your tab and split backspace keys. You can, like the Alice space bars are going to be great. You can play with that bottom row. And, it doesn't it leads to a lot of creativity.
Yeah, exactly. Just because I rendered this key as control and this key as super and that key as alt doesn't mean you need to use those keys as control, super, and alt. Configure the bottom row however you think, whatever you think is the prettiest way. And the other benefit is, because you have all these agnostic legends, you can save on keys in the base kit. There's no need to have a separate control for R3, because just pretend that the legend is control, or pretend that it's caps lock. Like, who cares what it says, as long as you have the stepped version and the, a full version of the key.
Yeah. So it says, we got a question for us. Keycap and legend color, is this a custom price? So what exact color is the keycaps? I don't.
The keycaps are custom.
Okay.
Are custom RAL. I have not revealed any of the colors.
What color is it close to, if you don't mind me?
It's closest to N9.
N9. Okay, so it's a gray.
It's a deep blue.
Okay.
But like it's closer to N9 than it is CR if we're talking about GMK stocks.
Okay. Yeah, because it looks navy to me. It looks like a very like the darkest navy you can get before trailing into dark gray and black. Which makes sense, because a lot of those carpets were, I think they were a little bit lighter, and at least the one roller rink that I went to, shout out to Thunderbird in Texas, if anyone went there in the Dallas area. So I like that, and then it looks like, I guess, a lighter kind of bluish gray on the alpha, on the legends.
Yep. Same thing. Yeah, the color mostly came from my local arcades and like childhood. They didn't have like the completely black carpet. They had this deep navy because it makes it feel like, you know, darker than a straight black would be, or makes it feel like spacier and longer. And so that's kind of where the color was, and why I didn't go for CR is it picks up this theme of the carpet much more than a straight black would have.
Mm. I'm going completely Keeb Noob. I'm going completely blank. Caffeinated Rick, thank you for the sub. Keeb Noob, if you're in chat, I'm going super duper blank on the name of the Wazowski, the creator of the Wazowski. Kanifi. All right. So Kanifi, if you're listening, you take this set, and you only need these like 6 keys, right? You get this, and you get one of those little knobs like from the Evolve, which we'll get to in a second, and just a macro pad with those 6 and a knob, and make it look like, and it's just a macro pad, but it kind of looks like it'd be like something from an arcade. And boom. So there you go.
So that would be fun, like a joystick.
Like a little joystick and a little macro pad joystick, and it just kind of looks like you're sitting there on a little arcade machine. So yeah, just saying. Kanifi, if you're listening, free products.
There's the with the 6 key macro pads with a knob. There's the CU6, right?
Mm-hmm.
That just ran like a month or two ago.
Get some like actual, instead of like a twisting knob, just an actual joystick.
Yeah,
just put like
with like an Atari like red knob.
Yeah, just like the bright. Yeah, you get it. You get where I'm coming. Yep. G Will, it says Polybius is such an amazing set. Absolutely love the inspo. Yeah, this is one of those sets. I feel in a time where I feel like, I'm not trying to shit on designers, but like we're seeing a lot, right? We've seen a lot. It's the market for keycap sets is oversaturated, and you might, if people, I've been talking about this with a lot with other people, where it's like, well, the people that have been in the hobby for many, many years are getting just burnt out on keycap sets. And it's like, well, nothing seems exciting anymore. Well, it's like, well, that's just because so many things are coming out, right? If you put a stop to it for a while and then came back and then slowly introduced, you get more excited again, but we're just oversaturated. And, back in the 2018 days when it was like lasers running this month, so no one run another set for 3 months before and after.
Yeah, now there's like running a single month.
Yeah, but this is a set that I'm genuinely excited about. I think it's so well done. It is so well done. And congratulations on Ursa. The sophomore set, I think, is going to be a great addition to your repertoire of designs, and I'm excited what you have next.
Yeah. I do have a round 2 of Ursa plans coming soon. And then otherwise, like in the GMK domain, past Polybius, I don't really have anything. I've been working on concepts, but like I don't like publishing anything or finishing anything, or like moving forward with anything unless I'm like, yeah, this is it.
Yeah, and I mean, you've been busy with other designs as well.
But it's
so
from a personal designer's point of view, I don't like I never have the theme follow the colors. I always go a theme and then pull colors from that. And so unless I've found like an actual thing to inspire me and for me to make, I kind of just don't make anything.
Yeah.
And for like that's just how I work. And I know other designers are the other way around. They find like a set of colors they like and build a theme out of it. But like my own personal belief is that it does not make me make better sets.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, you obviously you've done a very good job making good sets. So whatever you're doing, keep doing it. if it takes a year, right? It's one of those. I know you are the type of person, I feel as if if you would rather release something every other year, as long as what you're releasing is exactly what you want it to be and good. So
thank you.
So let's get. I'm last thing I'll say about this. I'm very excited to see we've already seen some cool stuff from Archetype, the Artisan. Holy shit! There's so much you can do with this Artisan wise. Like, I'm really excited to see the collaborations from that.
Yeah. Mech from Archetype went above and beyond with that Zed.
That
To
was
have the
insane.
like floating in there, that was crazy. And the Polybius collab with Artkey also blew me away. I like those caps are super cool. I got the Ursa from that raffle. And now it's just a matter of tracking down the rest of them. And yeah, got some great collabs coming from other makers soon. Golden Star Keycaps I've been working with to make a Polybius color collab come to life. Prime Caps is in the works. Lots of great makers.
Ooh, I'd love to see a Polybius albumin. That would be. I love. Shout out to Frank and Lisa. Those guys do amazing stuff at Prime Caps. So let's get in here. I can dig it out. It's sitting on my desk. Let's get into the nitty gritty. All right. So for those who don't know, this is the Evolve by Mr. Nathan Alphaman. It is a fantastic 75%. It is. I still have it. I still need to rebuild it. We'll talk about the why I'm rebuilding it. Mainly because I didn't read. But we'll talk about the good, the bad, and how we're moving forward from this. Because this is one of the most exciting. I mean, look at this shit. Like this thing is insane. So if you guys don't know, Evolve 75, it was meant to have an amazing typing feel across the board. And a 75%, you designed this thing. The first iteration was a long time ago.
Over a year and a half, and then the IC is almost a year old. I posted the IC in like mid-February, I think, or early February of 2020.
Yep, February 4th, 2020. So it is almost a year old.
Almost a year old, yeah.
That's crazy, man. That's super crazy to think about.
It's one of those things for me where like I'm not going to release that board to a public buy until it is ready, right? Like, I put a lot of pride into the projects I work on. It's like why Polybius took as long as it did. I don't want to release something unless it is really meeting my own personal standards. And that's going to take some time, right? There was the V1 board that I've shown before, right? And the V1 board had a lot of issues. It's a super tingy board. It's awful to type on. It sounds like crap. The integrated plate was silly, and the quality of the manufacturer is not good at all. I mean, like, I can hold it up to the camera and you can see like, these huge lines in there. It's a nasty thing. And so I was like, okay, metal 3D printing isn't going to work. I cannot do it at any price that's reasonable, and for like quality standards that meet the communities. So then went back to the drawing board again, did the Evolve CE, which we're going to talk about in a second. And again, like, I've learned a lot from doing the private buy, from just the experiences of doing a private buy, and I learned a lot from like send it to a bunch of people who know how to give really good feedback on boards, including yourself. And so like I'm getting that feedback back from all of them and processing that into the next iteration of the board.
So let's what do you want first? Let's because I've talked briefly, but I haven't given you the 100% critique. I'll just do it live on air. So what do you want? I can give you the good, or I can give you the critique, or what does chat want first? Who knows?
Let's ask chat. What do they want first?
What do you want? Do you want me to just shit on this thing, or do you want me to talk about the awesome about it? Because critique. All right, let's start with the critiques. Okay. Thank you, Sean Palsy. So,
I know.
Well, first off, it's a little goofy to put together. You had sent this to me, and I want this before I say this. This is all from someone I'm wanting this to be great. I've told him multiple times I want to get an Evolve. I want this to be a really, really good board. And I got, he was like, here are my notes. Here's what to look for. This is a prototype run. This isn't a round one. This is a prototype run. So there are bound to be what you're doing in a prototype run is you're looking for the problems, right? This is something I experienced with the Baka and then into the Squid, where there are some things that you want to fix and you go, okay, great, we fixed it. Now it's doing a lot better. And then there will also just be some things that are always going to be there, right? If this thing is a little tricky to put together, I mean, call up Jay. The J01 is one of the most impossible boards to align just right and get it in there. We had talked about that. I think, we talked about the plate. We had learned, for those who don't know, I had some issues on the stab with the plate. It needs some cutout. I need to go in and file it to ensure that the actual spacebar stab will go up. And that's like the best problem you can have, right? And that's just like, okay, cool, change the plate file. Like,
yep. That was an easy fix.
The one thing that I was not a huge fan of, for those who don't know, the knob. Maybe it was just my knob. Maybe I'm the problem knob, the knob problem, but the knob like wouldn't tighten.
Yeah, so the story with the knobs is I had ordered a lot of knobs, and they didn't fit at all. They were just like no, like you could not turn them, you could not push them up and down. It was just like an awful fit. And so I reordered all of the knobs just before leaving to school for my last semester. And I just I mismeasured a dimension, and so there's like half of them are just messed up, and the other half are okay. And so something like that I'm focusing on the redesign for the Evolve is, first off, way more tolerancing in that hole, right? Just so you can make sure you actuate it in every single direction. A better knob design itself. And then the other thing that's going to be included with the group buy version is an adapter. So the Evolve's knob output shaft is 2.5 millimeters, but the one that is common on all of your keyboards that exist, like the SAT75, any other knobbed board, is the EC11, which has an 11 millimeter output shaft. So every Evolve will ship with a 2.5 millimeter to 11 millimeter adapter, so that you can use your knobs that you may already have and don't have to rely on proprietary knobs.
Very awesome. Very awesome. Thinking about, because some people get the knobs to match with the sets, and then you can't release a board and hope like why didn't you send me my magenta knob that doesn't match this? And it's like, okay, cool. The feel is great. I'll be honest, the feel is great. The sound, well, this is a Xylent board, so I can't really justify giving too much feedback. The feel is great. I mean, I'm sure you've heard about this. You can kind of I don't know. This is one of those things that's nitpicky, right? They're like, well, you can kind of grab it and like pull it apart a little bit. Well, it's like, well, yeah. How often are you pulling apart your keyboard?
It's a good nitpick though, because it has it addresses some concerns with the strength of a helicoil in polycarbonate. It addresses concerns with how good the quality of let's talk about this.
Yeah,
I think it's important to be transparent, and I like being a transparent person. I'm going here in the back. I have all of the f-stock Evolves. And so these are protos that I can't sell just because they came out really bad. And I'm going to hold these up to the camera and we'll see how well this comes out. But you can see here that the bottom is just completely not flat.
Yeah.
There, this edge here is curved up, and so it doesn't sit flat. On this one, you can see it even more. There's a huge dent in the board. God, this one is horrible. You can see this with the curve with your naked eye, right? So, and that was something that this was a short run of. There were 20 people in the group buy, and I ordered 30 units, expecting some to fail, right? But there was way more boards failed than I ever expected, and so that like addresses some you know obvious concerns with the process of 3D printing polycarbonate. And so something to consider in the redesign of the board is, how do I ensure that um, if I'm maintaining this manufacturing process, I gain higher yield rates by simply changing the design. And if we look at all these boards, it's the same place that it curves in every single one, right? It's
Yeah.
the same, like between this, any large gap between tendrils is where it's failing. So, increasing tendril density and kind of grabbing back the aesthetic of the version one of the board, which so many people liked, and I love. This is definitely feels much more Venom than the V2 CE did.
Yeah.
Um, so that's something to consider
Yeah.
in the redesign. Bring back that aesthetic, fixing these very existing manufacturing constraints. Yeah.
And
So
so
that
one thing I really like is it's just because it's unique. Is so this is a 3D printed bottom. This is polycarbonate that's 3D printed.
Correct, yeah.
So it's very, very cool. I would love if you could get this kind of opaque all over the across the bottom, because this, just because it's not symmetrical, to me looks a little goofy. But yes, is the warp there a little bit? Yeah, I'd say so. I think this is the top piece printed, 3D printed as well, or is the top piece?
Top piece is machined.
Machined. Okay, so this is something that I discussed with a good friend of mine who has one. So if you can tell, let me see. So this kind of it's kind of bowed like a smiley face a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And so and it's happened. You can probably see a little bit more here. Come on, I'm trying to match the. Go away there. You can see, especially on this side, where it's just not flat. And so, and I was talking, because once again, this is a proto, so I'm not sitting here going, "How dare Nathan Alphaman? This is the worst thing ever." It's not. Shit bows, right? Things are going to bow. You've got carbon fiber plate, FR4 PCB. The PCB is amazing, by the way. Just you and Gondo killed it. Like, holy shit. But there's nothing straightening it out. The only thing you're having to rely on to keep things straight is this top piece, but it's just plastic. How much work can it actually do? And I know that, well, the top piece may be different. I don't want to spoil anything if you've released.
I love talking about it. So the Evolve redesign is, so the current Evolves are two pieces. There's a top and a bottom. And the Evolve redesign is going to switch to be four pieces.
Okay.
So there's a top, there's a middle layer. The top and the middle layer will both be all metal.
Okay. I didn't want to spoil that in case that I didn't want to come on. I think that will fix. I think even with the two parts, having something to keep it straight is important to a board, right? Shit bows. Yeah. I was, we've talked about, if for those who didn't catch Lightning Stream, he built a Squid 60 and there's a little bit of rattle. There's nothing I can do about some of these things because the plates will bow in shipping. Shit will just, I can't, unless I hand deliver it, I can maybe give you the straightest one possible, but I can throw it in a box and ship it as flat as possible, but even in a flat rate box, and it will still fucking bow. And then there's nothing you can do from that point. And it's like, well, the rattle's there, but I can tell you how to fix the rattle. But there's three issues with the Baka on the round one, and I addressed all three. And there's still one of those issues popping up kind of left and right with a few people. Definitely not nearly as many on the percentage wise, so I was much happier about that. But it was one of those things where it's like, there are some things that no matter what you do, it's not going to work. It's going to be, there's just things that you can't control.
Of course. And one of the things about the redesign is I'm just trying to control as many variables as I can, right? Understand where the complaints that everybody has with the board are coming from and how do I fix them, right? So gasket alignment is hard and gasket tabs are fragile. Okay, switching how the internal gasketing system works and making replaceable internal mounting tabs. That way, if somehow the internal mounting tabs break, it's okay. You don't have a, $600 paperweight anymore. You have a replaceable and functional board. Adding more internal mounting points to make sure that if it did bow, and even if it's metal, that it flattens itself out.
Mm.
Adding an internal middle layer to make sure that 3D printing doesn't affect the quality of the mounting system and to not deal with helicoil and polycarbonate, right? So we're going to pretty much like imagine the skeleton is becoming this piece of reinforced metal that's hugely redundant.
Mm-hmm.
And then we are adding the tendrils on as a purely aesthetic piece, and it does not affect the functionality of the Evolve or the assembly process of the Evolve in any way. You only add it on to make it, to turn what is otherwise a standard keyboard into the Evolve.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that's the key there, right? I was talking to someone who has one. He's built it, and he was like, it's great, but it has its issues. And the biggest one, I mean, I would say that's the biggest one, right? Because if that straightens out, the case is able to clasp a little bit tighter. There's problems with the knob, but obviously you've addressed that. But that's the biggest one, I think. And once you're a smart guy, obviously, and it's like, I want as a message to people. I want people to know if you're buying it on a prototype, it's not going to be perfect. If it is perfect, then you are incredibly lucky. Because the whole point of prototype, and it's 100%, and here's more honesty, it is expensive to prototype one board. And I can tell you that because the Baka 70 that I prototyped was expensive. And I only protoed one board. So a big reason you do these protos is to lower the price so that other people can kind of help you proto this. And then and the good part there is then that these people get to experience it firsthand. They get that first dibs.
Just as like a thing, in case, I don't know if I've ever said the number, but why not? Just the bottom of the Evolve V1 prototype, this bit right here, a one-off unit of these cost me $1,200.
Jeez.
Prototyping is an expensive process, especially when you're prototyping these like fringe manufacturing methods and crazy things like that.
And mind you, that's a JO1. That's more expensive that's a JO1 and switches and keycaps. That's a key Colt.
Yeah.
That with switches and keycaps. That's a lot of money to go into one part of a proto process. So, we've seen only $1,200 exactly. But I've seen a lot of criticism about why are boards so expensive? I'm like, man, prototypes, if you didn't charge a certain amount, you would just make no money on certain things. And it's like, well, I prototyped it. It was like, well, you got a board out of it. I'm like, yeah, but I didn't get like the perfected version of it. I got the prototype. And no one, you wouldn't be happy if you received a prototype and then someone said, well, that's the end of it. And you'd be like, well, I'm kind of upset that I don't have this imperfect thing.
Yeah, and I think that's like one of the things like we see with with vendors like Dixie or Canon Keys, OmniType or Canon Keys, and one thing I'll be trying to do in the future as I launch my storefront is, boards we are not where you make the big money. There's so much more that can go wrong and will go wrong with a board. There is more manufacturers. You have a PCB manufacturer, a gasket manufacturer, a plate manufacturer, a bolt case manufacturer. You have a packaging manufacturer, right? Like there's a lot of money that needs to go into packaging design and how do you ship this safely. You don't make a lot of money in keyboards. In fact, like at the proto run, I don't think I even broke even. But with key sets, there's a lot more margins in there. So, if you want to fund your keyboard prototyping, if you want to fund keyboard group buys, like a great way to do that is run your GMK sets, reinvest those profits back into the business. GMK set is pretty easy. You make it easy. You you make a collect all the money from everybody, make a purchase order with GMK, and then 8 months later, 9 months later, they'll send it back to you already packaged, and it's just a matter of doing the distribution and the fulfillment step, which
Yeah.
is hard, but
It's
is
tedious. That's a lot of time. I mean,
it's a heck of a lot easier to do 1,000 key sets than it is to do 10 boards.
yeah, because of weight. I mean, honestly, like, so, um, fully built, the Squid 60 is like almost 5.5 pounds. And shout out to Abracadaniel, my wife. She did an amazing job, with helping me package and all this stuff. But it's a lot. It's heavy. Like people, it was. I think so there were 70, just north of 70 orders I had to ship out, and I did it in a week, and that's with working. That's like with doing my normal day-to-day stuff. I did most of the packing in like on a Sunday, then it screwed the whole week up, because then it's like we lost our entire day of the weekend of being able to prep stuff, and then QCing and just because you have to get your eyes on every single board. And and we were fortunate enough, I tried to cut. For those who don't know, the Squid 60 was made to help fund the fact that I lost my dog, and on top of losing my dog, they're like, hey, I mean, this is a bit of my negativity towards the situation, but they're like, hey, you lost your dog, here's a almost $7,000 bill. We're teachers, we don't make a lot of money. So that was not something that we were like, oh yeah, cool, we're totally prepared to just drop this right now. Like, that would have just completely ruined us. And especially in the middle of a pandemic where you don't really know. We didn't, we had an idea, like, we'll probably be back next year, but you just don't know, with school closures, like, will we be back? It was kind of that scary thing. And so that's why we launched this. And, we skipped the step of, like, I was like, I'm not going to do custom boxes. I'd rather save, if I did custom boxes, for those who don't know, I was trying to make money off of this board so I could pay off these freaking bills that have just been haunting us the last year. And it's important to know that, like, just how much goes in. It brings a lot of perspective. On my end, I know Osiris has been a huge help, and especially of just me venting to him about how annoying it can be, and every step of the way, it's difficult. It's not, and if you're already, I would love to. I wish I wanted to time this up over my holiday break, but of course, the second day back, and for this semester was the day that they showed up.
And it's just like, right. The thing is, at least like for where I'm coming from when I make my boards, is if it wasn't hard, it wouldn't be fun, and I wouldn't be doing it. There's so much you learn through the struggle and through the process and through the difficulty of doing it all. And like I love the entire thing. And like Chewy was talking about QC, and like one of the Evolve experience with the Evolve QC is like I went through all of the boards once. And then I got to the end. There was like maybe 3-4 boards left. And I noticed something that I had never noticed before on any board. And it was just like super blatantly obvious. And I was like, how have I not noticed this on any previous board? Was it not there? And so it's just like, go back and I re-QC every single board for just this one thing. And then again, I noticed something new. And it's just like, right, when you QC the first board, you can actually be approving like a piece of B stock because you don't know what you need to be looking for yet.
Yeah.
And it's like, I mean, like, obviously you get more experience, and when you're going ahead and doing a proper group buy, or you're doing even your third or your fourth or your fifth group buy, right? That's not as big of an issue. But for me, there was like, yeah, the first board I said it was an A stock, and then later I went back and I'm like, no, this thing is like solid B, because it was just I did not notice details, even though I stared.
And yours is so much more difficult. Mine's just a piece of. It's like, okay, mine's like, all right, are there dents? No. Are there anodization marks? How bad are the anodization marks? I was fortunate. I got just under 10% B stock. I did offer, some of my friends. I offered, like, hey, let's do Cerakote, and that kind of saved the B stocks a lot. I was very fortunate that the Cerakote or the anodization came out really, really well. But you also kind of have to set the tone of what is A stock to you, right? And it's like what is your, because everyone's A stock is different. I'm not going to. I said this multiple times on stream a few weeks ago. I'm not Keycolt. I don't have the eyes that Keycolt has. I mean, obviously, I'm blind as a bat already, and that's their job. Their job is to look at these extreme potential defects, and so far, knock on wood, I haven't gotten anyone complaining yet about whether or not there's some issues. I've gotten nice things to say, which I've been very, very fortunate and lucky. But you kind of have to set the tone of like, okay, well, what is B stock? And you kind of go through your first 10 boards and go, where can I find the problems? And it's a dangerous game to play. Sometimes you're like, oh, what? Because then you if you find like a hook mark or something, you're like, okay, but it's on the inside. Where do I draw the line?
That is a great one. Right, like if you have a scratch, like a nasty scratch on the inside of the board, once it's assembled, like you'll never see that scratch. But what is the level of nastiness that scratch needs to be for you to go like, this is no longer an A stock and this is a B stock? Even though it's something like, right, I'll never ever see it once the board is assembled. And of course, this is like a line that every person draws the line in a different place. And still a line have yet to find for the actual group I have evolved. But rest assured, anybody who wants to buy, my own personal quality standards are very, very high. Mm-hmm. So.
Yeah, and that's I spoke Langlandia, great friend. I spoke with him and I said, where my line is. My line is closing the case with nothing else in it. Does it look good? Because this happens in a lot. This happens in a lot of boards. It doesn't matter. Keycolt's one of those. You kind of hold it to that expectation. But there's the inside of the case, right? When you open up the two pieces. Around the screw marks, there are oftentimes these little marks, these little markings from where the screw holes are. And I told him, I was like, I think that's where I'm going to draw my line. Because even if you want to take a picture of it with the top piece on and the plate in, with nothing else, it needs to look good. If you want to take an unbuilt board. But if you're taking a dissected picture, I'm not going to be upset about something that literally the board will not function correctly unless that part is hidden. And that's where I kind of draw the line. And I was like, and I don't feel bad about that because that's my own personal standards. And, if people are upset by that, I completely understand and I'll be happy to talk to you about it. And that might not be Nathan Alphaman's. I know that's not Keycolt's. That might not be Dixie's, Garrett's. Still getting used to that Omni type.
I think we all are. Been calling him one thing for 2 years now, so.
So it's interesting, how everybody does it, and then talking to a lot of group buy runners, right? It's talking to people, going, how do you do this? Learning how they do this, and a huge shout out to Drifting Bunnies. He was a massive help. We both kind of ran the Austin Baca at the same time. And then his Austin round 2 ran really close to the Squid 60. So going from that 1 to 2, and then we just had a lot. I just realized how off-centered this is. Oh my gosh. My apologies to Osiris because scuff stream. So
as that happens, he's not here.
Exactly. It's I need a babysitter. But no, I'm really excited to see what the Evolve round 3, Rev 3 looks like. I still want to drive over it with a car.
Yeah, I do that somewhere. I suggested calling the pre-release Evolves Revolves. They keep being revolutionized with every iteration. So
I like it. I like it. So, well, guys, if you have any questions for Mr. Nathan Alphaman, please throw it in the chat. I want to talk real quick about Keyboard of the Week. So we don't know, we don't have a plan at the moment to do Keyboard of the Year because we want to do months that are themed. Osiris is not here. We were going to talk to you about it. So the first month, very excited to do hashtag key butts. So only you have to flip the board over. We're not showing keycaps off. You're showing the bottom of your keyboard. So keyboard of the week was something we did last year. We're on our Tuesday streams. People would submit in our channel. We'll make a more formal post about this tomorrow in our Discord. I just have to type everything up and get everything detailed. We have the first couple months planned out for what this is. So each month is going to have a different theme. So because we're encouraging people to take pictures, share their keyboards. That's one thing that everyone likes to do, right? Is now you can show off your case of unbuilts and you'll never know the difference exactly. So we're very excited to bring that back. January was the month that we decided we were not going to do anything, so we can kind of plan. We have no plans because sometimes these months might clash a little bit. But what we might do is, we've tossed around the idea of having multiple keyboard of the month winners. So, and then you'd be the winner the whole month. You'd have the keyboard of the week, keyboard of the week, keyboard of the week. And then we do like a special, like that fourth week would be, you get to come in and go in on like a little mini 4-person tournament or something like that. We'll figure it out. All the details will be released exactly next week. I'll have Osiris talk about it more on that stream. But what switches do you use to test prototypes? That's a great question, Sean DePaul Z1.
It depends. I like to. So I built 2 personal evolves for myself. One with linears, one with tactiles. The linear one was built with H1 switches, which I love the H1. I'm a real big sucker for heavy linears. And the second evolve was built with Kiwi switches, the C3 tactile. It's not my favorite tactile switch by a long shot. It's a very average tactile switch in my opinion. But it's good to test, prototypes with different types of switches because you don't want to design a board for one switch, right? Everybody's going to build it with something different. People may build their board with Xylens. People may build their board with Telios. People may build their board with Box Navies, right? Like you don't want to design it for one switch. So it's good to test with a variety.
Yeah, I think if you're trying, sorry, you go.
Yeah, I was going to say like it's even worth like ordering Milmax proto PCBs. So you can like put a bunch of different switches in there and don't have to commit, and just so you can like try.
Yeah. I think another thing, is what are you designing? Are you designing something? Are you designing something that's supposed to be kind of revolutionary? Is a very big word, but are you trying to push a boundary of the keyboard, or are you doing something that's a little bit more like, okay, I already know this, right? So if you're making a 65% gasket mounted with a blocker and it's a brass plate and the gaskets are in the same space as everybody else's, you're probably going to have a good understanding. So if you order a proto, I would still definitely try your favorite linear and your favorite tactile switch just to make sure. Maybe a clicky. If you're that one I feel like is probably forgivable. But with the one thing that I would, like you said, when I made the Squids, the Bacchus 60, I made it to where it could fit hot swap PCBs. I didn't make a PCB for it. I wanted to make sure people could do a hot swap, so being able to test different things in that board. But it was definitely one that I threw a couple linears in to kind of make sure, and I was like, okay, it sounds fine. But it sounds it's some boards you're building because you like something, right? You like something, and then some, and so you have an idea of what it's going to sound like. So you might not need to, but just I would, if you hate linears, then maybe find someone local that does, or find a linear that you at least can stand, and then throw in a tactile if you're the opposite. Honestly, you can't go wrong with like Holy Pandas, like testing with a Holy Panda, because that's what a lot of people are going to use, right? That's I think that's kind of a baseline at this point. So
yeah, they are a definitely a good switch. Testing with H1s is not the best switch to test with, right? Like even though they're probably my favorite linear at the moment, they were a very limited run switch, right? Like, the novel keys dropped them once and then had like a small extras drop, and that's kind of it. But like, Holy Pandas are in stock all the time on drop, and now they're in stock on Glorious as well, right? So it's a lot of people have them. But yeah, it depends on what you're trying to do. Exactly as Chewy talked about.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, well, quick shout out also, again, yep, with HP and their ink, since they're a bit fat. Yeah, I mean, that's the other thing. Tolerances can be a bit tough. So, and Holy Pandas are a very, very wide switch. If it fits a Holy Panda pretty smooth, go ahead and test something like a JWK, because those are going to fit a little looser. You don't want it too loose. But if it fits Holy Panda with a decent amount of resistance, but it doesn't hurt to put in, you're probably okay. If it fits a JWK and it goes right in and it doesn't wobble, you're probably okay. So, but yeah, I want to give a full-on shout out to our sponsors, OmniType. We're actually going to hear from them next week. We have Garrett from OmniType joining us to talk about OmniType, so very excited about that. Project Keyboard, you can go pre-order Stealth as well as pre-ordering Noir, so be sure to check that out, as well as there's an Alice PCB on there. We've got canonkeys.com/mechs-on-deck, GMK Shanshui, Cat Crusader, PBT Lancelot. We got the Stacked 65 is in stock right now, a very cool board. Lots of awesome desk mats. Seal linear switches by Mentorly, all great stuff from Canon Keys, so be sure to check those guys out. Mr. Upas is someone that is just fantastic, and after working and then going home to work on group buy stuff, I was like, Upas is my hero. And then our awesome partner, Zap Cables. Go pick up a cable if you need one for your next big keyboard, or if you just need the end-all be-all. Check that stuff out. Type Beast, you can go typebea.st. He's got an amazing newsletter. Just released his 11th newsletter. It was a great read. And Smith & Rune. They make great sweatpants. They make great shirts. They also make great keyboards. So check out the Iron. Keep an eye out for the Iron 180, as that is in production. Extras will be showing up relatively soon.
Yeah. Gonna plug Shanshui. You talked about it. So everybody should definitely pick up Shanshui. We're still a bit away from Mock, and it would be the vendors are already committed. We just announced that all kits will be made, so vendors are committed to buying it out and making sure it gets produced. But it'd be get it if you can. And now that we know that kits are going to be made, it's even a better time to buy it, because it's a beautiful, beautiful set. Grundle Lemire and I put hundreds of hours into those legends, if not more. And it's a great project to bring a new language to the community, in my opinion.
Hell yeah. And then Polybius, not sponsored by Space Cables, but GMK Polybius. If you guys have not checked that out, I will hit exclamation point guest, and we'll throw it there. Guys, it's a fantastic set from Nathan Alphaman. Again, thank you so much for joining us. Pretty late notice, too. Thank you. We've had... I was supposed to build a macro pad last week, and then literally like 30 minutes before I put the thing together, I pulled everything out and I was like, I don't have a microcontroller. Like, how am I supposed to plug this in? And so did I put an O in there? No.
You forgot both the O and the B.
So it's just Polybius?
It says Pleus by Pleus.
Oh, man, I can't talk. That's not news. No, but it's just a fantastic set, and I was unable to get this, and then I had to order it, and then it sat in pre-shipment for like 4 days, and so I was like, I'm not gonna be able to get it in time. So thank you, Mr. Nathan Alphaman, for coming. Thank you.
Being on shows.
Absolutely. So I think we're gonna. Did you see Mentorly's Zyko's video?
No, I didn't.
Oh man, you should watch it. It's great. We're gonna raid Mint here. She did an amazing Zyko video. So let's come up with let's do. So guys, we're gonna raid Mentorly. So here we're gonna blast her with this one. Thank you again. When can we expect anything from the Evolve soon?
The Evolve soon. Okay, so I have the V3 protos are being like finalized and prepared for ordering. And I'm gonna get those placed like ASAP within the next very, very soon. I'm hoping to do the buy before Q3. So like before the halfway point of 2021 is when I want to do the buy. I know I said it was like gonna be like Q4 2020 and then I was Q1 2021. Okay, but like before Q2 2021 ends, like I'm actually like feeling very confident that we can hit this date.
It's better to
And
move the
then
buy back than moving the ship date back, right?
yeah, that's completely fair. Don't want to hold on to people's money longer than you need to.
Exactly.
Um, yeah, so soon. Um, GMK Ursa round two is some indefinite distance away, but SA Ursa will also run within the next few months.
Well,
So
all right. Well, there goes my wallet. So,
thank you.
well, thank you.
Oh, and let me have the correct SA profiling.
God, see,
112344.
God, why you gotta do this to me, man? All right. Well, thank you, guys. Go hit up Mentorly, Mr. Nathan Alphaman. Thank you again, and we will see you Saturday. Squid 60 build by Osiris at noon CT. Be sure to check that out. And I forgot to hit raid, so now my timing on this is a little goofy, but that's fine.
Let's sit here for a second.
So I'll just sit here nice and awkward. But hey, guys, thank you. And as always, buy a Switch tester. And let's make sure. All right, got the raid.
They like wait a
Wow,
few
I'm the only
years
one that
for
said the mo-
specs
the-
and the price.
There it is.
Oh, there we
Yeah, we got
Yeah,
to
said
that
it.
they're willing to pay for a new phone.
That was a lot of
Studio
fun.
was fire.
Good,
Hello,
good.
thank you so
Always,
much for
always
the
fun to be on with you
raid.
guys.
Yeah, thank you, man. Sorry that
Today's
Osiris
Wednesday. Was
couldn't.
it both of you today?
Osiris
That's good,
couldn't
eh?
make
Both
it.
of you?
Better.
How was your
So
stream?
let's see.
I'm building a
Oh, I forgot to hit
J02,
stop streaming. So this is all.
which is